Hey folks, welcome back to another review with yours truly, Sam Healey. Today we're looking at Pie Town from Renegade Game Studios. And this is a worker placement game where each person is trying to take their baking prowess into a pie convention and come out the best pie maker of all time. And of course, those are whether or not you are the best is tracked by how many victory points you're going to accrue over the course of the game. Whoever has the most points after 9 rounds of play and a final bake-off where you try to guess what each other's special ingredients are for their special recipe, secret recipe. Whoever has the most points at that point is the winner. So it is a very cute worker placement game that is deceptively simple because behind it there's a lot to think about during the course of the game. Let's get down to the table. I'll show you how it works. Then we'll come back for some final thoughts in just a few moments. So first of all, at the beginning of the game, each player is going to choose what their secret recipe is going to be. And the secret recipe has to be comprised of two common fruits, so to speak, and then one rare or unique kind of fruit. And those ingredients that they choose are placed inside the box like this and then kept secret so that nobody else knows what they are throughout the course of the game. Everybody starts with a level 3 and a level 2 worker in their break room. And your other workers are set to level 1 and they're placed off to the other side of the board. Whoever has the white chef's hat is the first player, and they're able to take their turn. Now, on their turn, you simply take and place one of your workers in the different places that are available on the board. So the first place that you can go to is the upgrade box. And if you place your worker in an upgrade box, you simply do it like that. And now you're able to expand your storage. You can expand your baking area, or you can expand your kitchen proper. By doing that, you simply take the token that's there and you move it over to the larger area that is available. When you upgrade your baking center, you simply remove the lock token, which means that now you can send 2 workers to bake pies in your kitchen rather than just 1. If you upgrade your kitchen, what this basically means is that you're going to be getting 1 point for every pie that you bake and send to the market. If you upgrade the kitchen, this will move over here, and every pie that you bake and send to the market will get you 2 points per. You can also send one of your workers to the hire space where you're going to be hiring a new worker from outside of your pool. Now, it's important to note a couple of things here. You see these little -1, +1, -2? That is how many levels your worker is going to be clicked down, so to speak, when they return to the break room at the end of the round. So, for example, here, whenever this guy comes back from upgrading, he is simply going to downgrade to a 2 and then come back to my break room. So, of note here is that you cannot have a worker ever go down to 0. So, hiring a new worker can only be done by a 3-level worker or higher. If you ever do that, you simply place the worker here, take one of your other unused workers at that point, which is at level 1, denoted by the space here. And at the end of the round, both of them will come back to your break room. So when you hire a new employee, he won't be ready until the next round. The way that you sell bake pies is by placing one of your people over here in the bake area of your kitchen. And the number that is on the die, in this instance, it's a 2, denotes how many pies you can bake in that specific turn. So you would then go down to your section here, and I have 6 different ingredients, which allows me to cook 2 pies because a pie has to have 3 ingredients, and the frequency that you use those ingredients determines which column you're going to put them in over here. So if I wanted to, I could choose to do two of this column, two of the 3-pointers, because I have 2 rares, and then I also have 4 apples, like so. So I could do 2 of them just like this. I would take 2 of my pies like so and put them out there. Now, when you bake, you're going to choose which ingredients you have, shuffle them up, and then just place them on the board in a random fashion. And the reason that is because if you ever bake your secret recipe, you don't want people to be able to deduce automatically which ingredients you're using for your secret recipe. Now, why are you keeping this secret? Well, it's because of this final bake-off here. And it is also because if people find out what your secret recipe is, they can bake more than one secret recipe at the same time, and we won't know which one is theirs because they're baking somebody else's secret recipe. But in order to do that, to bake somebody else's secret recipe, you have to first show them a number of ingredients, of course, 2 commons and 1 rare, and show them secretly, I'm going to bake your secret recipe. Is this correct? If they say yes, then you can go ahead and place one of your pies over there using their secret recipe. If they say no, those ingredients are done away with and put back into the bag. But additionally, at the end of the game, in the final bake-off here, you're going to be able to guess the secret recipes of the other players in the game. And if you get all 3 of their ingredients correct, it's going to be an extra 4 bonus points for you at the end of the game. Another place for you to send your workers is over here to the market. And we'll get to this more a little bit later, but generally speaking, this is where you're going to be selling your pies to gain more victory points after the initial victory points that you got when you baked the pie to begin with. And the reason that they go up and higher is because of the ingredients that you're using in order to put them into that column. For example, here, the 2-point column, you're just using 3 common ingredients. 3 points, though, you're using 2 commons and 1 rare. 4 points, you're using only 1 common and 2 rare. And then your secret recipe, the pie that you bake using the ingredients that are inside your secret recipe box, those are worth 7 because they're obviously the best pies that are at the market because they are those secret recipes that have been handed down through the ages. So if you want to sell all of 1 column, you can send one of your workers here. In a 3-player game and a 4-player game, you're able to have 2 people do that. If you want to sell the bottom row only, just this, then you would place your worker here. And then, so for example, if I placed my 2 here and I had pies like this, then I would be able to sell each pie for 3 points each. So that would be 3, 6 points. And then I also get 2 points because I sent a level 2 worker out there to sell. And so that would be 6, 8 points. I move my pie marker to the 8 here on the board, and these would come off. If I ever do that, I then get to take the bag and choose randomly 2 new ingredients to go back to my storage room like so. There are other places in the game that you can send your person. For example, you can send them to the pie convention, and you have an opportunity to choose at this point. For example, if you think somebody is savvy to what your secret recipe is, you can go here and change secretly one of the ingredients in your secret recipe box. If you do that, your worker is going to be clicked down 1 level. Or you can send your worker here to assign a new starting player, which means that you will be able to choose where the little white chef hat goes. At the end of the round, if nobody has done this, then it is just passed clockwise, and the next person goes first in the next round. You can also send people over here to the orchard, and this is where the level of the this is one of the places rather where you can where the number of the worker is important. For example, if I choose to place my 3 worker here, that means from all of the areas that are adjacent to him, I can take up to 3 different ingredients. So if I placed my 3 guy here, I could take this strawberry, this red apple, and this pumpkin if I wanted to. Or I could have taken 2 from one and 1 from another area. It's really up to you. And then these would go back into my storage area like that. Now, there's one other aspect to the game that I need to explain before we get to the final thoughts, and that is simply spying on other people. Whenever you have a worker in the orchard or the market, down here on one of these spaces or in one of these spaces on the orchard, another player can, if they have a level worker that is higher than the one out there, they can place that level worker on top of yours. If they choose to do that, they will take the difference between the 2 numbers and be able to spy on the ingredients that are inside your secret recipe. Now, if another player in a 3 or 4 player game wants to spy on this guy, then they would have to have, of course, a number 5 or a 6 in order to get above that. But if they do that, they only spy on the one that they are on top of. The spying doesn't go all the way down to the bottom die that was already spied upon by somebody else. So, like I said earlier, a number of 9 rounds is played by people simply putting out their workers. Once everybody has done that, they pull their workers back, denoting the different kinds of upgrades or downgrades that each section will impose upon the worker die that is placed there. And a number of 9 rounds is played. Final bake-off happens. Whoever has the most points at the end of the round, at the end of a final bake-off, is the winner. So that is Pie Town. Now, you guys know that I am a sucker for worker placement games. I really enjoy them. There's just a level of familiarity, a level of simplicity that comes with you take your worker, place it there, you get to do that action, and then you can place your other worker here and do that action. At some point, you have to pull your workers back, start a new round, whatever. But I like the simplicity, I like the flow, I like the ease of worker placement games. So, knowing all that about me, you already know that I'm going to like this game. Now, another thing that I thought was really cool about this is how good it looks on the table. The components that were used in this game, while the materials used are not incredibly flashy, let's face it, they're just cardboard tokens and nice chunky dice. They look really good. The graphic design is simplistic, and yet it is still very colorful and eye-catching. So there is a lot going on for this game as far as the graphic design is concerned. They did a very good job with that, and I think the artist and graphic designer should be well commended for this. The reason I say that is because the graphic design could have been very hyper-realistic. They could have gone the extra step and had all of these very, very realistic-looking things out there, but they chose to stay very cartoony and very cutesy, I guess you could say. And I like that because I think it appeals to the family nature that the game has with it anyway. So that would probably be my first pro. Second pro is gameplay. Gameplay is simple and yet very fun. Yes, there is a level of solitaire I guess you could say, to the game because you're really focusing on your kitchen and your baking and the pies that you're making. But at the same time, there is that under-level current of I need to find out what my secret recipe, what my opponent's secret recipe is, so I can try to bake their secret recipe too and get those extra points at the end of the game during the final bake-off. So there's that undercurrent of interaction that's going on in an otherwise rather solitaire-ish type game. Now, the Orchard also has a level of interaction to it as well. Because people can go there first and get the ingredients that you have, especially if somebody has a high level worker, like a 6, they'll go down there, boom, and they'll take all 6 from those 3 adjoining territories around where they place their marker. That leaves the rest of the people in the game with very few choices. Additionally, if you place a low worker in the orchard or in the market, wow, you're really risking the possibility of somebody finding out what your secret recipe is before the end of the game. Now, if they figure it out late in the game, that means you have less time to get over to the pie convention and change the ingredients in your secret recipe. So again, as I said before, it's deceptively simple because the gameplay, how the game works, it's very basic, very simple, and very fun. But there is an undercurrent of complexity that's there because you're also trying to deduce. It's not that difficult, don't get me wrong, but there's that extra level of complexity of trying to deduce what your secret recipe is of your opponent while you're exacting everything else in your strategy of getting as many pies baked as possible and making sure you have the correct number of ingredients and upgrading your kitchen and your baking area and so forth and so on. So as you can see, this game is a simple family level game, and that's what I really love about it because my family enjoyed it a lot and I enjoy it, which means that I can play it with them and not feel like I'm sacrificing something in order to have fun, quality family time. That's the cool thing about this, is that this game, I think, will appeal to both the family gamer that's not really interested in, going to all of these different game nights and all that kind of stuff and spending time with people outside their family at game nights. This is going to be good also for a person that is wanting to stay at home to play games in family game night. But it also has enough weight to it to do well in that other arena where gamers are taking it out of their homes and going to other areas for game nights and that type of thing. I think this is a great game. I really enjoyed it. The one thing that it has going against it, and again, I think this is a pointed, focused problem that you won't always run into, but the possibility of it arising is there. And that is simply there might be times where you simply won't be able to do anything. Not that you won't be able to do anything at all. It's just that what you are able to do doesn't do you any good. Because you've just reached a certain point where you can't get any more points for doing that. Upgrading your kitchen at this point doesn't really do you any good. It's too late in the game. Whatever it might be, it does have that going against it. But in my opinion, that's a small thing that doesn't entirely affect gameplay because it's not always going to happen. And sometimes if it does happen, it could simply be inefficient play of the player, not the game's fault. So this is a very minor quibble of a con, but it is still a con that is there, and it's something that I ran into in my playtesting of the game. So I did want to mention it, but it's really the only thing that I disliked about the game, and it's a minor thing at that. So my final thoughts here are simply this: 2 huge pies way up. Because this is a game that I think is going to do well in both arenas that I spoke of earlier, the gamer arena and the family gamer arena. I think both this game will strive in because it just hits on all of those different pistons that I mentioned earlier. So I think it's great. I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10. A very good game. You would do well to give this a try. As always, try before you buy. I always say that because I think it's important for you to make your own decisions and not rely upon the decisions and the opinions of other people. Although that is what I think. I think this is going to do great. I think it has a great groundswell in it, and I hope it grows from there. Well, that's it for me for Pie Town. We'll see you guys on the flip side.